The lights go out across the training compound at 0200, and the only sound is the Pacificide wind whipping off the Coronado dunes. 23 candidates left in Hell Week, bodies broken, minds frayed. And then, in the dim glow of a single red chem light, one of the instructors grabs a female boat crew leader by the throat during surf torture and doesn't let go. Her name is Senior Chief Kara Reeves, 34 years old, the first woman ever selected to run a SEAL platoon in combat. The instructor, a hulking master chief with a reputation for weeding out the weak, hisses through clenched teeth, "Don't forget who I am." The rest of the class is face down in the freezing Pacific, too cold to move, too terrified to speak. But one man sees it all. One man never looks away. Retired Master Chief Ryan Hawk Hawkins, invited back as a guest instructor for the week, the same man who carried Kara's broken body out of a Helmand Valley 10 years earlier when an IED turned their convoy into fire and screams. He told her that night, half delirious from blood loss herself, "You're going to make history one day, kid. Just stay alive." Now he's watching history try to die in 4 feet of water. If that image just punched you in the chest, hit that subscribe button right now, because this channel tells the stories the Navy doesn't want on the evening news. We're diving into the night Hell Week, almost broke the unbreakable. Kara's lungs are burning. The instructor's fingers dig deeper, lifting her clear out of the surf just long enough for her to realize, this isn't training anymore, this is personal. The class still doesn't move. They've been conditioned for months to accept that instructors are gods. But Hawk is no longer active duty. He has no career to lose, no board to fear. He's only here because Kara personally asked him to come back and see what she'd become. And what he sees now is the same little sister he dragged through Afghan dust storms, getting murdered in front of him for daring to prove women belong here. He steps out of the shadows like a ghost materializing, 6'4", forearms like bridge cable, eyes that have watched friends die in 100 different ways. The beach goes quieter than it's been all week. Hawk doesn't yell. He doesn't need to. He simply walks straight into the surf, water exploding around his calves, and places one massive hand on the instructor's shoulder. The Master Chief turns, sneer already forming, until he realizes who's touching him. Recognition flickers, then fear, because every man on this grinder knows the legend. Hawk once snapped a Taliban commander's neck with one hand while carrying a wounded teammate with the other. The story is classified, but the Corps still whispers it like scripture. Hawk's voice is calm, almost gentle. "Take your hand off my kid." The Master Chief hesitates half a second too long. That's all it takes. Hawk's grip tightens, and the instructor's knees buckle into the sand. The entire class finally lifts their heads, eyes wide, watching a living legend dismantle a tyrant in real time. Hawk leans in close enough for only the Master Chief to hear. "You just choked the future of this community. And I'm about to remind you what the past looks like when it gets angry." What happens next spreads through the teams like wildfire, even though the official report will later claim a training incident was resolved internally. Hawk drags the instructor up the beach by his blouse, deposits him in front of the commanding officer's hut, and kicks the door so hard the hinges scream. Inside, the CO, a captain who wasn't even born when Hawk was already a planconer in SEAL Team 6, looks up in shock. Hawk doesn't salute. He simply says, "Your boy just committed assault on one of my troops. Fix it, or I will." Then he walks away before the captain can find words. By sunrise, the Master Chief is gone, not reassigned, gone, vanished from Coronado like he never existed. The class never sees him again, and Kara Reeves, throat bruised purple, stands taller in mourning formation than she ever has. Because for the first time in her career, someone with more power than the system itself stood up and said, "Not her, not today." But the story doesn't end with revenge. It ends with something quieter and far more powerful. 2 nights later, Boat Crew 5 is on the grinder at 0300, log on their shoulders, legs trembling. They're down to 19 candidates now. The new lead instructor calls for a break that never comes in Hell Week. Instead, he steps aside, and Hawk walks out carrying a single canteen cup steaming in the cold. He stops in front of Kara, offers it to her first. Coffee, real coffee, the first warm thing any of them have tasted in 5 days. Then he looks at the rest of the crew and says the words, "No instructor has ever spoken during Hell Week. I'm proud of you." 19 frozen, exhausted souls start crying without shame, because the man who once told Kara she'd make history just proved that history has her back. Kara rings the bell 41 hours later, not because she quit, but because she's already been selected. The detailer calls her into medical, hands her orders. She's going straight to a platoon as senior enlisted advisor, the first woman ever handed an entire SEAL platoon in a war zone, skipping 2 pay grades because command knows what she's made of now. And on the day she pins on her new Trident cluster, Hawk is there in the front row, eyes shining like he's watching his own daughter get married. Years later, when young guys ask her how she survived the week that broke so many records for attrition, Kara just smiles and says, "I had a guardian angel who remembered who I was when everyone else wanted me to forget." And somewhere in the crowd, a retired master chief with salt and pepper hair and scars, older than most of the audience, nods once, because some debts can never be repaid, only passed forward. That's the night one handshake. From the past rewrote the future of the teams forever. So tell me in the comments, from which part of the country are you watching this video right now? Drop your state, your city, or even your base if you're still serving. Let's see how far this story travels tonight. I read every single comment, and I'll heart the ones that hit hardest. Until the next one, stay hard.